welcome to Live Coffee Talk Show. I'm Michelle Kuei. I'm a confidence and leadership coach who work with negative self-talkers to get them to believe in the talents and strength that they have so they can be successful in both personal and professional life. Now, you are probably in a position waking up in the morning and you are pulling your hair out. Like, raise your hand if you're not pulling your hair out today. I mean, just from what we have seen yesterday, last night, I'm sure a lot of us are actually having a really stressful morning already. All that emotional dramas that we experience, it makes perfect sense why our hair is not so healthy. So if this is you want to stay tuned. And because today I have a hair doctor, or the hair regrowth doctor, Miss Precious Rutland. She is a certified trichologist, and I will ask her in terms of what that means. Trichologist, so it's a hair and scalp specialist, board certified holistic health practitioner, complementary alternative health practitioner, and CEO of Precious Rutland Hair and Wellness Consulting. She is also a best-selling author of her latest Amazon bestseller, Hair Regrowth Starts from Within. Interesting. It's an eight-phase, I can't speak today, eight-phase system to heal inside out. So what can you do to your hair from an inside-out approach? Without further ado, let's bring and welcome Precious Rutland.
Hi, Precious. Hi, Michelle. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm grateful. I'm so excited that you're having me on here.
I'm super excited to have you on today because, you know, during this pandemic, I don't know if anyone shared the same feeling, but, you know, I was looking at on the floor and my hair was just, it was just outrageous. And I was counting because you know how they said that on average, you lose certain amount per day, right? So when I was looking at the hair, all the hair that I've lost, I was thinking that's more than just the average.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really grateful that you are here to share some really important perspective. And it's something that's so apparent and something that we can actually see to being an indicator of how our emotional wellness or emotional being could be. So tell us about your experience and how did you become a hair doctor?
Yes. So actually, I got into hair because it's always been a passion of mine. So I'm also a licensed cosmetologist there. So at the time that I was going to cosmetology school, I was also working a full-time job in the private sector. And I just knew that it wasn't fulfilling. Like, my passion is doing hair. And so as the years went on, I ended up experiencing hair loss myself. So that's what really lit the fire under me. So I lost hair twice. The first time was traction alopecia. And that's where, you know, you're doing different styles to your hair. They're too tight. It's a lot of friction and rubbing. And then so my hair came out. And so luckily, I was young enough, still growing, thriving, just had kids, so my hair was still growing. So I was able to camouflage it and bring it back. Then a few years later, when I had my second son, now that's when the hair loss really hit me, and it was postpartum hair loss. And I had never heard of it. Like, I knew about alopecias, but I had never really heard about postpartum hair loss and that it could be related to after you're having a baby. So I had just stopped nursing my son, and it was about maybe 8 months later, 6 to 8 months later, and I noticed the front of my hairline was like going, it was just super thin, just really thin, really diffuse. And it was a little bit in the crown area that was gone. And so I was freaking out, and I was like, you know, what am I going to do? And so people couldn't really tell that I was losing hair. The only way they would have known is if I had said something. But it did, I tell you, just losing that hair, it really did something to me mentally. Plus, at that time, I was dealing with postpartum depression is what they call it. And then on top of that, like I was saying, I was wanting to fulfill my entrepreneur job. And so So I was dealing with the hair loss. Then I had my own personal health issues. I was overweight, you know, because I wasn't eating right. And then I was also diagnosed, you know, with pre-diabetes. So it was just a lot just going on, just dealing with life. And then a few years later, after that, my mom had passed unexpectedly. And so that was like really the catalyst to like go all in or go home. Because I just distinctly remember she passed away unexpectedly. And it was just like, you know, I'm not going to leave this earth without touching the people's lives that I need to touch and sharing my story, fulfilling the purpose, the call that's on my life, and helping them to change their habits, change their health. And so they too can in turn, you know, have healthy hair, and to help women that are experiencing hair loss. And so each day as I'm, you know, learning on my trichology, I'm attending all types of conferences. I'm into natural health, really heavy into that, because health, mind, body, spirit, that all plays a role in it. You can't have healthy hair and not be healthy. The two just don't mix. And so like I'm a living testimony, so I walk my talk. So that time able to come before people and share with them and guide them on what to do, because I've lived it, I've done it, I've talked it, I know what you're thinking. And so I can help guide through that. So that was really the driving point, how I got into trichology. So knowing about the hair.
Well, you know, I think a lot of people, what you brought up is very a valid and real point that a lot of people don't recognize, and they don't realize that, you know, something as little as, you know, the hair can create so much of that lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, you know, that physical appearance that we can look into a mirror and see every single day. It's like you wake up in the middle and in the morning, and you looking into the mirror and you're thinking, what is going on here, right? And you don't really, it doesn't really occur to you until that big aha moment. Well, I got to do something about it. This is not okay. And what you brought up about your mom's passing, first of all, I'm really sorry to hear about her passing. And you know, anything that's happening unexpectedly, it's really, it has a great impact on so I'm really sorry to hear her passing. But that kind of was your wake up call in realizing that something, you got to do something about it. What were you going through that led you to that moment where, you know, this is not working, I got to do something about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I mentioned, I had those diagnoses from the doctor. And as I thought about it, you know, I got the information from the doctor. And then, of course, they were wanting to put me on the blood pressure medicines to get my blood pressure. Oh, that was the other thing. So I had high blood pressure as well. So I was overweight, high blood pressure, and pre-diabetic. And so they was like, well, I'm gonna have to put you on medication. And so I begged and begged so they wouldn't, because I never did get the weight down. So she ended up putting me on it. And so I was like, I was just determined. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be on this too long. And that's what I did. I got my act together. I did what I was supposed to do, and I got off of it as soon as possible. But the main thing was I saw the pattern. Like I was going down that same road that my mother had went down. You know, she had a lot of issues. She didn't deal with a lot of things from her past. And I seen it just add up, you know, because she was diagnosed with the same thing. And I said, you know, I'm breaking this generational curse. It stops right here with me. My family are going to have me around as long as I can. And as long as I'm able within my power to help, you know, to have my health. And so that was just the determinant. I'm either just to all go home or do nothing. So it was no either or, it was no in between. It was either you do it or you don't. And so I made the choice to do it. I mean, it can't be no in between.
Yeah. Can you paint the picture for me in terms of you because right now I'm looking at you, you're skinny. You're like You are hot. You are hot. You are hot, woman.
Thank you.
You
I
know,
worked to get there, that's for sure. It wasn't no cakewalk.
so I can't imagine you being, having that overweight and you look,
Mm.
high blood pressure, all diabetes, and like paint that picture for me in terms of how big were you back then, and because what I'm looking at right now, it's nothing like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. The heaviest weight that I had got to was 225 pounds. And just like you, a lot of people say, well, Precious, where was the 225 pounds? Because I don't see it, because I carried the weight well. So of course the weight was like in my arms and then like my lower half. So like the hips and the thighs. But I just didn't care for it. And it was also in the gut. 'Cause like I said, I had the baby, so I was just butt and gut basically. And I didn't like it. I just didn't like how I felt. Like there's no reason in the world if you can't make it up a flight of stairs and before you get to that top stair, you're out of breath. No, especially with me, I was too young. I was I think 33 at the time. So it was no reason for me to be out of breath and can't. I mean, it was just like, come on, it just wasn't making sense. And then also, like I said, like I was just dealing with a lot of mental things just going on. So I was dealing with the lack of confidence because I was, being a parallelpreneur. So at the time when I come up, the parents were always, go to college, make something of yourself. So they didn't really look upon as, the hair business, the hair industry really making money. And so I had my college degrees and everything, but I was like, this isn't for me. So like I still fought on my degrees. I still had them, but so it served me because I'm able to get the training that I have now to put,
But
so
it
I was able to
wasn't
put
something that you
myself
wanted to do.
right. So I was able to put myself through the beauty school, the beauty college, the training. So I was able to supplement, and because by the time I got done with everything, I was like, I done put myself through another college degree. So, but that's how I got it. So imagine, just getting up, taking care of the kids, nursing them, getting them to daycare. Then it was just like I'm going to a job. It was mentally draining. Like I was just going just for a paycheck. I mean, they were, just unappreciative. So it was like I was just going through the motions. Like I know I need to do this because society says, you need to work, you need to pay the bills. And then it was just like a disconnect. Like I didn't even want to be a mom. Like I just wanted to be myself. Like I want to go fulfill my passion. And so I just had to make that way and give my own self permission to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it sounds like you said earlier, it didn't happen just overnight. It was
No,
a long journey.
no, it was compiled upon years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
What was it like to actually be on that journey? Were you always, because right now you're very uplifting, you're positive, and you're happy. I see every time I see Precious, she's always smiling. She's laying back because she and I connected through a speaking class, and
Yep.
and it was just she's always laid back, very chill, and you see her with a big smile on her face.
Mhm.
But was that
Um,
was that how you were on that journey? And
yes, I was like that on the journey. I would say when I was around people, but because I always want to keep other people uplifted, going and motivated. But then it was like when I was myself, I was just down. And it was just it just wasn't good. And then sometimes I would be so hard on my husband and kids. My husband was like, I can't talk to you, so he wouldn't even talk to me. Sometimes he'd just walk away. It was because I was coming home and, from the job and then taking my frustrations out on them. And then it was dealing with the whole thing of how do I make my hair loss business work? Because I didn't have that role model. Like I'm starting this business from ground up. So it's like, how do I even get it going? How do I even tell the people what I do? And then like right now with the people most women, you know, they're all big into hair and it's all about looks, but you know, I'm getting the message across that, yeah, you can have the hair and the looks, that's fine. You have to take care of your hair underneath. Otherwise, it's gonna come out, it's falling out. And I remember distinctly having to talk to one of my coaches about it, because I'm like, man, coach, you know, I know all this knowledge, I have this good information, and it's like people, they rather want to camouflage or mask their problem rather than deal with it head on. And he spoke to me so clearly. He said, Precious, just let me tell you something. He was like, you continue to do what you do. You do post by post, or just put your messages out. He was like, don't worry about who receives it, who's not coming, who's not coming. He was like, Precious, you're in one of those fields where they will come when they need you. So I was like, well, they need to come now. I was like, because the longer you wait not addressing your hair loss problem, the worse it'll get, and the worse it'll be irreversible versus jumping on it now. So it was just dealing with all that, and just dealing with that confidence piece, like, man, just being a woman, you know, can I make this business work? Because in the beginning, I wasn't seeing it. Like I was working part-time because I had the full-time job. I wasn't in a good location. So, you know, and then I wasn't able to get that much walk-through traffic where I was. So it was just tough, but I had to figure it out and just make it work.
You're not only making it work, you're actually making it, woman.
Yeah, I am.
You're actually making it. You know, so I totally hear you. And you know, being an entrepreneur, it's not an easy task. So there's all these elements that's surrounding us that we are dealing with and we're coping with, right? Being locked down in a COVID, and you don't have a physical space to do your practice, to see your patient, that's like a real struggle, and the impact on your finance, impact your everything, you know, your relationship, your connectivity to others, it comes so overwhelming. And one of the biggest sign is our physical changes during those overwhelming feeling. So I'm wondering, you know, as you're describing how you got into this hair expert, hair doctor profession, I'm wondering why hair of all the body parts, and your esthetician. So one of the things that, you know, why not skin? Why particularly hair? And your postpartum experience, that was real. Was that something?
No, hair, I actually I had my coach the other day ask me about that as well. And when I thought about it, like, I had been into hair since age 14. Like, I had just always been into like the different styles. So like I said, it just has always been in me. Even in my family, there's barbers and stylists. So I was familiar with it, grew up with it, but it was just personal for me. Like, I just like to see people healthy. I love just to see healthy hair. So that's why I've been able to survive in it this long and keep thriving, and be able to reinvent myself and keep going. It's just has always been for me. So that's how I know that this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, what can you just take a look at my hair? So, you know, I kid you not, during the pandemic, I really lost a lot, and I was so desperate, and it didn't occur to me, because I met you in June. And it didn't occur to me until later when I met you that, oh, I need to look into my hair, because I noticed I was losing a lot. And that was one of the signs, or it's always been the biggest sign, that I am stressed. When I'm stressed, I start losing a lot of hair. And even my hairstylist was telling me that you lost a lot of hair when she reopened. So I always knew that hair is something that's real, something that you can take care of, something that a lot of people just kind of neglect. And you know, I have friends who are completely bald, men are completely bald, and they don't realize that scalp is actually part of very important things that they have to take care of. They just think that, oh, I don't have any hair, I don't have to do anything with it. but I know one of my colleagues actually came home one day during a hot summer's day, and he was actually sunburned from the scalp.
Ooh,
Yeah, see, yeah, precious know how devastated that would be.
yeah.
Yeah. So for someone who's going through a lot of stress, maybe, emotionally or mentally or physically, what are some of the tips that you can share with them in terms of taking care of that approach
Yeah.
from the inside out?
Yes, absolutely. The first thing that you definitely want to do is definitely get your eating habits under control. That's going to be the biggest thing. If you can't do anything else, is get your eating habits under control, and drink your water. Drinking your water is going to help to flush the toxins out your system, keep your whole system lubricated, and hence to help get the oxygen and the blood flow that you need to your scalp and your circulation. And then you definitely want to next go find ways, I want to say cope, or find ways that help calm your system down. So like, as you mentioned, like right now we're in COVID-19, we're in that fight or flight stage, because you don't know what's going to happen day to day. Every time you look up, you're hearing the cases for COVID going up, or you get the news that someone has it, and then you just don't know. There's some uncertainty about the job and everything. And so like right now, it's definitely the case for hair loss is definitely going to increase tremendously at this point, because your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, like, it's just out of balance right now. So your adrenals are just pumping, and so now it's taking all your nutrients and your resources from your organs. So your potassium is going, like all your minerals, all that's being burnt up right now, because you're under stress. And so that stress is triggering or contributing to what's going on with the hair. So now you compile that. So if you had other underlying conditions, say if you had a poor immune system, or you had some other illness going on, high blood pressure, I'm just throwing those out there. So now that's causing the progression of your hair to get out of its cycle, get out of balance. And then so that's what you're seeing right now. It's the telogen effluvium. So what you can do immediately again is to definitely lock down on your diet. Definitely, bump up on your vegetables, then go into some sort of way of coping and meditating. And like right now is a good time to start journaling, or even just go outside for a walk and just get that fresh air through your lungs. Like you can even just do deep breathing exercises, and it doesn't take much to help get your system on track, because if you can't control your mind, it's just going other places, and then that'll cause you to have other aches and pains in your body that you didn't really have, but because you're thinking it, now you see in your body, it's like, oh, my hair is coming out, so then your mind's just playing all these tricks on you, and then it's like more hair is coming out than it was before. So those off the top of my head, like those are a few things that you can do. It's just to get a hold of yourself. So body, mind, and spirit.
Mm-hmm. What would be a good food to eat? Because I'm a big foodie. I usually tell people that I'm on a diet, and the diet I'm on a seafood diet. So when I see food, I gotta eat it.
I love that.
I'm on a seafood diet. All right, so don't be shy about food. But what would be some of the food that I should be focusing on in terms of incorporating more of? Yeah.
Yeah, one of the biggest key things that you really want to focus on is like the leafy green vegetables. So like not the lettuce, because that doesn't help. What I'm talking about is like the kale, the spinach, the collard greens, like the Brussels sprouts, like those flavonoids. Like if you can get those into your system, they have some protein in them, they have your B vitamins in them, they have the potassium, the iron. And that's like some of the biggest contributing factors is that we just don't get enough of the nutrients from the real food, is what I call it, in our system. And then you definitely want to stay away from like the grains and like the whites, the pastas, the fries, because they're like high in starch. The white pastas and things like they get into your blood system and they thicken the blood. So then of course it's giving you that instant boost of sugar, but then you're down again, and then you're hungry again. So it's causing you to eat again. So you need foods that's going to be able to sit with you and keep you full, but at the same time, it's going to give you nutrients. So definitely, minimize the sugar. I know, like right now in the pandemic, you need that comfort food. That's how I had my weight, because I turned to food as a comfort. But you definitely want to stay away from those types of foods, and then just really focusing on the more nutritious foods, or putting together nutritious meals. Also just having like a colorful plate, like when you sit down to eat different vegetables from all colors, tomatoes, carrots, like those different vegetables. And you can eat them any kind of way, steam them, broil them, saute them. So you just have to find out what do you like and what's going to be good for you. So those are always going to be my go-to. I know it probably sucks and you don't want them, but this is what like our body needs, because we've compounded over time eating these heavy foods. They make you sluggish, you're dragging, you don't have any energy. And it's like, okay, but you keep eating this food. And like, if you want to be real about it, food is our medicine. And so if you got to think about it, if you keep eating something, it keeps making you feel bad, keeps giving you heartburn, you got ulcers, things like that, stop. And then even some foods that you're eating is causing allergic reaction in the body. And it's like, okay, it's time to stop. Let's see let's eliminate the cause, and then let's switch it out.
A lot of time when people come to me and say, Michelle, I want to change, but I just can't do it consistently. And one thing that I often remind them is it's how bad you want it, right? Are you at a place where you're okay doing it without it? So if you're telling me that you need the confidence, right? How bad do you want the confidence? If you want it so bad, that motivation, that in itself is a motivator that keeps you going, because I want it so bad, right? So if you want something so bad, you're gonna go get it. And the other thing that I've noticed, especially for me, and I often tell my mom is, hey, listen, if we don't buy those like burgers or anything that has to do with pasta, things like that, anything that we don't want to feed our body, then don't buy it. And it has to do with the seafood diet, right? If I see it, I will eat it. If I don't see it, then I won't eat it. And so you make it an effort to actually get the food out of your refrigerator or going to the supermarket. So you make an extra step for you to actually need to get it. And if you don't want it, then you won't be getting it. And that's kind of like a reverse psychology of because I want something, I'm going to make an extra step for myself in order to get it. And if I have to take that extra step, that may be I won't be inspired. I won't be motivated to actually take that extra step. So, something that I've learned that might work. And I love what you share about eating more greens, because I thought lettuce is a form of veggie.
No, it does not. It's mostly just water, but I know you can't really get your nutrients from that. To get your true nutrients from your hair, you're going to need the real green leafy vegetables. Definitely start there. And that's how I learned like what you need to eat to grow your hair back. And I'm like, really, I could have been doing this. I mean, you can't tell now, but like once I started eating my leafy greens, my hair was fuller, thicker, like it came in like super fast. And I was just like, this all I had to do? But yeah, I love it. And it's like you said about the confidence thing, like when I lost the weight and was able to get myself off those medications and just really thrive. You'd be surprised. Like I had half the people would congratulate me and it's like, wow, Precious, you did it, and then I would have others like kind of waiting for me to fall back or slip, or they'll be like, well, what did you do to lose weight? And I was like, I just didn't eat that food. Like I don't do dairy. I didn't eat chips. I didn't eat cookies. I let all that go. And they be like they just look at me like well, you're not really telling me anything. I'm like, I am telling you, you just don't want to let that stuff go. I'm telling you how to get the weight off. And I think at that time I was exercising like 2 times a day, sometimes 3 times a day. And I was going hard at it for like 6 days a week. So that was like some months, like I put in the work. So it took me some years to get that weight off. So I didn't, of course, just drop the weight off all at once, because I had to build that habit. And that's what people don't want to get into. They don't want to get in a habit. They don't want to change their lifestyle. And I was like, I can tell you how to get it, but do
They
you
don't
want to
want to do
listen?
the work.
Yeah, they don't want to do the work. So
Yeah, they don't want to
yeah.
do the work. I love it. So how do you, what is it that you are doing? How do you work with your clients?
Yes, so now I'm working virtually, so I'm able to see anyone from anywhere. We can meet virtually, and I'm offering info sessions, and so to walk people through a game plan, a strategy, as far as like if they're having hair loss, or if they maybe have healthy hair and they just want to know how to keep it so it don't fall out. So I'm able to create a plan for them and introduce them some of the programs that I offer.
Mm-hmm. And where can people find you?
Oh, absolutely. So you can go to my website. It's at www.helpmewithmyhair.com. And then you can also follow me on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Dirty Hair Secrets. And I have a podcast that I come out, release episodes every Tuesday. I'll soon be going to 2 episodes a week. But you can go, the podcast is the Dirty Hair Secrets podcast. And so on there, I'm sharing hair tips, busting down myths. I have tons of guests that come on and really sharing their knowledge as far as, hair health, wellness, because I look at the whole component, not just hair itself. And so I have my guests come on and they're complimentary, and they're, walking my audience through, about life and how to deal with everything. And so it's just a great time. Yeah. Oh, and also I'm on LinkedIn. Just type in Precious Rutland as well.
So I just linked the helpmewithmyhair.com in the comments.
Yes, thank you.
For those of you who's wanting to follow Precious and really get a free assessment, get help, you go and visit her on her website at helpmewithmyhair.com. Yes. And one thing what you had just mentioned now was that it slipped my mind. See, I don't I lost my train of thoughts. Is there anything for memory? Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, that hair loss can trigger a lot of negative self-talk. So yeah, I'll be perfect. So one last thing before I let you go. There's a lot of things that's going on in this world right now, and negative, positive, let's face it, it's everywhere, no matter where we turn. And so from your perspective, what do you believe the world needs?
Right now, the world needs grace and self-love. So a lot of that has been taken for granted. Just people in general, just harder on ourselves than we need to be, and just realizing it can be solved with love. So definitely having the grace and the patience and self-love.
And one way that we can love ourselves is go ahead and ask for help. Yes. we can do this alone. We shouldn't be expecting ourselves to go through anything alone by ourselves. And there's always help. Whatever that you can think of that you are going through, there's experts that's out there. For example, Precious is the expert in hair. And if you're noticing there is any changes in your appearance or just that emotion, and you want someone to listen to you and just be there for you and just kind of guide you through that process, ask for help.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Any last word before we end today?
Yes, you just reminded me. You mentioned earlier about some of the things that you can do as far as hair loss and just taking care of yourself. So another tip that I wanted to put out there for you all is to definitely pay attention to the hair products, the different, I guess, body products and things that you're putting on your body. And so I did put together my 17 top chemicals, toxins, and allergens that are contributing to your hair loss. So if you guys are interested in that, you can go to bit.ly and then that's /17 top toxins for hair. So that's bit.ly / the number 17, so 17, and then top toxins for hair. And that will really give you a guide, sort of like just a checklist so that you can just keep an eye on your hair products, the products that you're putting on your body, on your kids, and just looking at those ingredients and seeing if any of those are in your bottles, and then just begin to consider other alternatives that you can eliminate and replace them with, and it'll help also to reduce the stressors that you're putting on your body and help minimize the hair loss.
I love that because I've noticed that, depending on what type of hair products I buy, and sometimes, I guess I'm allergic to them. And it's something I didn't realize that I was allergic to it. And so I had to stop purchasing a lot of hair products, a different type of hair product, and just stick to one because that actually best suited for myself. So I'll put that in the comment as well so that everyone can take a look and this valuable gifts from Precious.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for coming to the show, Precious. It's been a pleasure, and I've learned so much, about taking care of my own health, my hair health. I think this is something that I'm really proud of, and it actually boosts up my self-confidence. And just by having that look, and you wake up in the morning, and let's face it, we're all attracted to the beauty that's surrounding us, and that's what makes us human. So every little things that you do for yourself that will count. Building that self-confidence. So thank you so much, Precious, for coming onto the show.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, everyone, for watching Live Wednesday Coffee Talk Show. This is a show that I will be aired every Wednesday at 8 o'clock Pacific time. So join me next week as I bring another expert in their area of expertise to share some really valuable insight with you in navigating through your lives. So stay tuned. Make sure you follow me on Facebook and continue to check out my show. Bye, everyone.
Bye.